This is a great studio. It's very fortunate to have such a nice space. Great view. No one bothers you. You come in and get some good work done. So, I grew up in North Florida and in Sicily. My mother's Italian, my father's American. When I originally went to study at the university, I didn't really consider music or art as something that I really was going to pursue. Originally it was philosophy, but studying philosophy is studying other men's ideas. They're removed from fundamental reality. At that point I realized, I really needed to go and study actual physical laws of the universe, which is why I really chose mechanical engineering. You can see my books. There aren't a whole lot of art books here. There's Fundamentals of Heat and Mass Transfer, Physics, my Statics and Dynamics book, Thermodynamics, Mechanics of Fluids. So I sit here and review the chapters and work out sample problems. And so I'm going to basically take some notes that I've derived, draw them in, literally, they're going to be very legible. I'll carve them in. I use these pencils that have the metal tip. And this is actually a wood substrate with joint compound that's built up and layered in paint, applied, rubbed off, applied more, rubbed off, and just worked. And basically it's the process of putting energy into the piece and weathering it. I will start to write, the thoughts in pencil, and it'll be very light. And this is just an XYZ axis, and this is just basic fundamentals of determining the center of mass. This is an aluminum sheet, and it's mounted on a wood frame. The wood frame is birch, and then beneath the aluminum is a quarter-inch plywood, pine plywood sheet. Aluminum pieces are very process-oriented. I wear latex gloves because I don't want to get oil on any oil on here will show up and also will prevent the sealant from bonding properly. So I sand it clean, and my idea here is to have sort of a homogeneous surface, which will be juxtaposed with some very organic, non-homogeneous imagery. This basically is poured on. This is an oil-based material, and I'll use lacquer thinner to sort of push away certain areas to give different effects, give more depth to it. We don't really control the fluid when it's poured on. We try to an extent. Pouring a fluid on a flat surface or on a curved surface or a sloped surface is an extremely complicated equation. We can't predict exactly what a fluid is going to do, even with all of our technology today, because there's so many variables in the equation. And so that's kind of the beauty of it, is I try to control the form, and I do to an extent, but there's still an aspect of no control I have. And it's an entity, it's a figure of, and then I'll paint. You see the stripe in here. There's actually a station line with increments numbered. This sort of comes from my days working as an engineer. A lot of, particularly if you're designing roadways and such, there's these station lines. So you know where you are, know the elevation, know all the structures that need to be there and whatnot. But to me, what it sort of represents is it's a timeline. Most of the markings are made by hand with just brute force, and they're made with these. Whichever one happens to be lying closest to me whenever that moment occurs. And you can see, for example, this, which is made with the edge of this piece here. I do incorporate mathematics and physics, just because that's my way of understanding things, but once again, the point isn't to tell people what to think, it's to stimulate thought. The real theme is documentation of experience, documenting reality. And Newton taught us energy is not created nor destroyed. Every bit of energy that I put into a piece, I believe, is experienced by the viewer. So the more energy put in, the more energy, the stronger the piece will be. Doesn't mean it's going to be good or bad, but it's going to be strong. in some people, it's important to show the nastiness and the negativity of